Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
Confusion and lies. Those words used today by former FBI Director James Comey during his nearly 3 hours long hearing on discussions he held with President Trump. Mr. Comey says he was confused about why the president had fired him, and he said the president lied when he said the FBI was poorly led and in disarray. Mr. Comey did say several times during the hearing he told the president he was never under investigation during the months leading up to his firing. He also says the president asked him to let it go when referring to the investigation into Michael Flynn's Russian connections, something Trump's lawyers say never happened.
Right now, Dorchester County Council is meeting to discuss the upcoming budget. Just last month, the school district, DD2, voted down a proposed property tax increase, saying they wanted to wait and see what the state would do. The state just passed their budget earlier this week. The county council meeting is being held at the Dorchester County Human Services Building in Somerville. Right now, North Charleston police still trying to determine the cause of a house fire that left a man dead. The fire happened just before 5 o'clock this morning on Bailey Drive in the Ackaby neighborhood. And that's where we find our police reporter, Harv Jacobs. So, Harv, firefighters pulled the victim out of his house.
Debbie, sadly, he died here at the scene. The coroner's office has not yet released his name. Detectives left the scene just about 10 minutes ago. I want to take a look close to the scene here to see how badly this fire was, how bad it was, I should say. Take a look. It looks like it burned very quickly. You see the burned out house. All that is left basically is a shell in the front porch. North Charleston firefighters had the fire under control in about 10 minutes. Police and fire investigators spent the morning and the afternoon going through the house looking for clues and evidence. The folks who live here in Bailey Drive told me the victim was a fixture in the Ackaby community. They say he was quiet, always riding his bicycle, and in many cases had his dog with him. Residents told me they were shocked to wake up and find out that the man had died. They say they never saw anything criminal or anything unusual going on here at the house. The police department and the coroner's office, meanwhile, continue to investigate this morning's fire. Live in North Charleston, Harv Jacobs, Live 5 News.
Right now, North Charleston police still investigating a late-night shooting that left one person dead, another injured. It happened just before 11:30 last night on St. John's Avenue in North Charleston. A woman who was found in the parking lot later died at the hospital, and a man found inside an apartment is recovering this afternoon. The man says he opened the door to his apartment and found another man with a gun. Right now, Georgetown officials need your help identifying this man. See if you recognize him. They say he was found in the Carvers Bay community on May 28th, and he is not able to provide any information about who he is. He has been placed in emergency protective custody. If you recognize him or think you do, you're asked to call authorities.
Right now, clear skies with a few clouds. It almost feels like a fall day. We're taking a live look over the Charleston Harbor at the double diamonds of the Ravenel Bridge, but we have a heads up for you. It's going to get warmer for your weekend. Our chief meteorologist, Bill Walsh, in the First Alert Weather Center. But Bill, cooler weather is not going to last very long.
Not very long, but boy, what an afternoon. We're going to need these once again. If you look up in the sky and say, what is that? That's the sun, right? Our backyard forecast keeps us with sunshine returning in the 70s this afternoon. It's been beautiful all day long. Temperature-wise, starting to clear out. Low Country's most powerful live radar. It's First Alert. Super Doppler Max still showing that fine storm that brought us all that rain continues to pull away. We definitely needed some rainfall. Not maybe as much as we've got, but there it is. As you take a look right now around the Low Country, things are absolutely fantastic. Coming up new in a few minutes. Oh, yeah. It's going to get warm. How warm? We're going to talk about that. Oh, wait till you see this weekend. Coming up here in a few minutes. What about that drive home? We've got that covered too. We've got an expert, First Alert Traffic. Jordan, how we doing?
Hey, Bill. Hey, things are looking pretty good considering it's after 5 o'clock now on our Thursday afternoon. You can see a lot of orange and red, though. We are starting to see some of that congestion in the usual spots this time of the day. So notice the merge lanes right here. You see that red? About 7 miles per hour. As we take a look at I-26 westbound, parts of that down to 19 miles per hour. Parts of 17 north going into Mount Pleasant down to 9 miles per hour. And take a look at I-526 nearing the Don Holt Bridge around 21 miles per hour. Speaking of that, here is a live look. And of course, this is pretty typical for this time of the day. Not looking at any accidents or stalled vehicles there. Notice the eastbound lanes on 526 on the Don Holt looking good to go. So let's take a look at those drive times. We've got 31 minutes to get from Mount Pleasant to West Ashley going westbound I-526 eastbound. 17 minutes West Ashley to Mount Pleasant. I-26 drive times right now not too bad for a little after 5 on a Thursday. 18 minutes Somerville to downtown. That's eastbound, of course, and add 10 minutes more going in that westbound direction. That's downtown to Somerville. We'll have more updates in just a few minutes.
And we have a reminder for you. North Maple Street between Hodge Road and Shamrock Drive closed in Somerville. A detour in place on West 5th North Street, Demingway and Hodge Road. Now this area is going to be closed for 2 weeks as the crews work on drainage repairs. You're asked to be aware of the equipment and the crews that are in the area. Local first responders continued training this week, detonating 2 car bombs in Cross. More than 40 first responders from all across the state learned how to work a scene after a blast. The responders processed the scene and put a presentation together on what they found. The week of training was all part of a final exam for post-blast investigation technique school.
A Somerville man facing charges after police say he exposed himself to a child in a Ladson fast food restaurant play area. A witness says Wilfred Tompkins, whom you see here, was seen playing with children in the play area before directing one young girl to meet him behind the basketball goal. Police say he asked her if she wanted candy before exposing himself. The incident report says Tompkins was arrested for the same thing in 2015.
A Charlotte man is in custody after police say he is responsible for his girlfriend's baby suffering multiple body injuries and a traumatic brain injury. 25-year-old Christopher Sims faces felony child abuse charges after the 2-year-old was taken to the hospital unable to breathe on his own. Authorities say the child was injured while he was left alone with Sims.
The Department of Natural Resources has released its final report on the Lake Murray boat crash that left 2 people dead. Authorities say the collision happened around 11 p.m. on April 21st when the victim's boat failed to give way to a larger 32-foot boat. DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, concluded the smaller boat carrying the victims was in violation of Coast Guard navigational rules, and one of the victims had high levels of marijuana in his system.
Right now, SLED continues to investigate after a man was shot during an incident with an Anderson County sheriff who had responded to a burglary call. The sheriff's office says the suspect pointed a gun at the deputy before shots were fired. Police say the man is expected to recover from the shooting. They've recovered the gun they say belonged to the suspect.
A North Carolina man dead after a police shooting earlier today in Caldwell County. Authorities say Donald Smith called 911 threatening suicide, and he fired a gun at police officers who then returned fire. Family members say Smith had lived in the same home for more than 30 years and had fallen on hard times. A former state employee facing charges of embezzlement after officials say he used state funds to pay for equipment found at his home. State police say Christopher Reidenbach, who worked for the State Fiscal Accountability Authority, used state money to buy a printer, printer cartridges, a mouse, and a computer stand for his home business. The value of the stuff he's accused of embezzling, less than $10,000.
Authorities say deadly pills circulating in Georgia contain fentanyl. Over the past several days, 4 people have died. 30 others have been hospitalized for taking these yellow pills. Someone is selling them on the streets, claiming they're Percocet. Authorities say the pills are deadlier than street heroin, so deadly that simply touching the pill could land you in the hospital.
Boeing says it's working on the newest technology with its jetliners, pilotless planes. Boeing officials say the basic building blocks of this technology are already out there with self-flying drones, and testing could begin on planes later this year in simulators. Computers already do many things on a plane, like taking off and cruising. An explosive device thrown at a U.S. embassy in the Ukraine. Next at 5:30, where authorities are focusing their investigation.
And cases of the dog flu reported in South Carolina. What dog owners need to be on the lookout for. I've got those details ahead.